Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Drake for American Arms Channel, and today we're testing Hevi-X in two different loadings, 3-inch ounce and a quarter number 2s and 3.5-inch ounce and an eighth number 2s. Now the difference between the two is only 1/8 of an ounce of pellet count and 50 feet per second. Are we going to see similar results, or are they going to differ a lot? More importantly, how are they going to perform at average ranges that we expect or need more capability than steel? Especially in late season when those down feathers get really thick and heavy and those birds are tough as nails in those icy, cold, snowy conditions. Well, we're going to have to find out. Today, we're going to test it with the Super X4 equipped with the Pattern Master Code Black Goose. The benelli Vinci with a standard benelli extended modified choke tube. In fact, it's one of the choke tubes that came with the SBE 3. And of course, my Super Black Eagle 3 equipped with a Hevi-Shot Hevi-Choke in full extended and ported version. Of course, the SX4 and the Super Black Eagle 3 again are in 3.5-inch magnum chambering and the Vinci in 3-inch. So we'll have a very consistent playing field as far as patterns when it comes to the 3-inch shell, but we only have a sample size of 2 when it comes to the 3.5-inch. Let's find out what happens. Let's take a look at the targets and see what we're going to do. All right, so here's our target, and this will change up just a little bit. We'll be pasting over some targets to get a good idea what the center is, as well as marking pellet counts as it grows out. We're going to be testing the 3-inch ounce and a quarter number 2s first, instead of the 3.5s. So we will be at approximately 30 or so paces, so plus or minus 30 yards. Since everybody likes to see 30 yards now, I will accommodate, instead of my usual 25-yard, I will do a 30-yard shot. First up is the Super Black Eagle 3 with the Hevi-Shot Hevi-Choke in full. All right, guys, so we can see that we have a very dead duck. Now, bead hold at 30 yards of the Super Black Eagle 3 was right about here. So, taking a look at that pattern and drawing a midline through it, we are seeing approximately a 60-40 split. Now, this does have a new bead on it. It is a higher bead. It is proud of the factory bead. So, this gun could go back to benelli, but I like it the way it is. And there's a True Glow bead, by the way, one of the paste-ons that you can buy. So we've got a very dead duck here. Really, the choke could be opened up, and we'll see how that performs out of the modified with the Vinci. But good results here. Very good results. I would be happy with this, and I definitely know that this is capable of killing a bird out at range. These tungsten pellets definitely hit really hard. Even though they are slower than steel shot, they carry their weight, of course, a lot better than steel shot, and very close to the kind of performance you'll see out of lead. I have knocked birds down at 60+ yards with this shell, so really the ounce and 3/8 is even better because you get a much higher pellet count. So let's take a look at that later, but next up is the benelli Vinci. All right, guys, so there we can see the Vinci did pretty well, especially considering it was a modified choke tube. We've got some more flyers, but we've got a fairly good core up to the right there. Now, I can't comment on whether or not this pattern is because of me or the gun, and I will say that it is more probably because of me, but I would really have to bench rest this. I'm shooting this offhand, so what we're looking at here is more of a rough idea of the pattern density. I'd say the center of the pattern is right up here, so I might have pulled the shot slightly, but we can see that even with an off shot, this duck, which is about the size of a teal, is still going to be very dead. And at 30 yards, that's a decent pattern for number 2 size pellets. Now, is it the most beautiful, even pattern? No, but this Hevi-X does bring a lot to the table, and I have downed ducks very effectively with it. I really wish it was cheaper, but considering that I've absolutely laid flat ducks out of the Vinci and the Super Black Eagle 3 with this loading, all I can say is the pellet count increase with the 3.5-inch load is amazing in benefits, and hopefully we'll see that here out of the SBE3 when we get to it. But next up is the Winchester SX4. Wow, what a dead bird. Now, I'm not seeing too many flyers that are unmarked on the outside 30-inch circle or so. Roughly a 30-inch circle, of course, but the SX4 here seems to have done amazing with this Pattern Master Code Black Goose. Now, yes, a little low, and again, offhand, so pretty damn centered. Once again, we see that nice 50-50 pattern. I felt good when the gun went off, but without a lead sled or a good solid rest, we just can't comment on what the gun was doing when it went off perfectly. So, really, this is the best pattern yet. Could that be choke tube? Could that be the guns? It could be either. A lot more testing is needed, but this looks like a winning combination right now. Beautiful pattern, absolutely beautiful. Definitely dead birds way past 30 yards, especially with these shells. So looks like this is a really great winner. And you know what we're going to do? We're actually going to pattern test both the 3.5-inch in the Vinci, or excuse me, the SBE3 and the SX4 now, because with that great of a pattern, I'm overwhelmingly excited to see what the increased pellet count will do for this obviously great combination. All right, next up, the Super Black Eagle 3, not the Winchester, the Super Black Eagle 3 with a 3.5-inch 1 3/8, again, of Hevi-X number 2. Let's see what it does. All right, look at that. So we've got a dead duck again, about teal size this time, of course, but we're seeing about the same results as far as pattern density, what kind of holes are showing up in the pattern with the SBE3 in combination with the heavy choke in full. So really, when we take a close look, we can see our pellet count has increased. We've got the same kind of spread, so we've definitely got more effective pattern in that regard, but I still think the Code Black Goose out of the SX4 is really going to work out better. I think the way to increase this effectiveness with this particular loading is definitely to go to the number 4 shot. This number 2 shot's highly effective on ducks, but does leave a little bit of pattern sparseness for that size of game bird, whereas with geese, it's extremely effective and definitely really tight and able to knock them down. And I've had that out of personal experience with this shell. So we're going to get this target down. We're going to mark up the extra holes around the outside, and we'll try the same shell out with Super X4, and then we've got a little bit of a surprise for the end. All right, well, damn, guys, it wasn't as impressive of a result as I was looking for. Looks like that this heavier load pattern's a little bit high out of the SX4. We've still got a dead little teal there, but really, if we start looking at where our pellets aren't marked, we're seeing a lot more heavy pattern going up and I believe off the board here. So that kind of sucks, but that's exactly what these types of load testings are for. Now on the SBE3 and this SX4, when I took a knee, I took a knee for both of these 3.5-inch ones because I wanted to make sure I had a good rest after taking the 3 shots with the 3-inch loadings. So it looks like it's still a very effective pattern. We've got great density up here, some sparseness, but it looks like if you're going to run Hevi-X number 2s, you might want to look at the 3-inch variant for the SX4. Slightly slower velocity, slightly less payload and pellet count, but a little bit more effective. Now, this would still be a good goose getting pattern with these loads, but time will tell. Of course, this is a sample size of 1 gun, 1 choke, and only 1 round, but it gives us a little bit idea of what you might expect. And that, of course, guys, is why you always want to pattern test your shell choice with your gun and choke tube choice before you go on the hunt. All right, let's get to something special. Well, not too big of a surprise. It's a sweet tea jug, a 1-gallon water jug at about 55 or 60 yards. And why that far? Well, for one, the 3-inch had the best pattern out of the 2 load types for Hevi-X and number 2 shot size. For 2, the Winchester SX4 and the Code Black Goose by Pattern Master were the winners as far as the 3 guns and 3 choke combinations go. So that gives us the best probability for hitting with at least a couple pellets into this jug. And what we're going to look for here is this really going to be that much more effective than steel at that distance? They advertise that this shell is very effective at long range, even going on to mention that 50 and 60 plus yards are perfectly capable shots. Now, I have downed a couple birds at that distance with these shells, both the 3.5 and the 3-inch, but I've not recovered those birds. And downing a bird but not recovering it, that just goes counterintuitive to what you're trying to do. Was it going to be a dead bird? Yes. But when a bird's able to dive on you and doesn't hit the water dead, well, your pattern density is not that great. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see at 60 yards if we get enough pellets on this jug, if we can consider it perhaps a dead goose or a dead duck. Let's find out. That we captured out of 8 hits on that jug. So 5 pass-throughs out of 8 pellets. That's not bad. Oh, there goes one. Probably to be lost forever, but we can see there's a little bit of a snowman effect on a couple of these. But other than that, I mean, and there will be in every pellet, in every shot shell, I should say, with these tungsten loadings, there is going to be a snowman, excuse me, shaped pellet or two. And there they go. So really, when we're looking at as many hits as we got at that distance, is it an ethical shot with this gun, choke, and load combination? It's not enough for geese, but I can tell you what, a few solid hits on the duck, and it definitely would down him. I don't think I'd make a habit of taking those shots, but if it's a Hail Mary and at fleeting birds or a crossing passing shot on a snow goose during conservation season or what have it, if you decide that it's the proper action to take, which we all do from time to time, we take those shots that are longer than needed, or maybe you're just really bad at judging distance, well, the load's at least good out to 50 yards, I would say. So with this choke and gun and load combination, why not? You've got more hitting energy than steel. It's not as good as lead, obviously, but we don't have that option. So it's pretty much one of the best things going, even at the price point. So let's wrap this video up and come to final conclusions. All right, guys. So as we saw, the 3-inch 1.25 ounce number 2 shot of Hevi-X performed the best of the 2 loadings on hand. I don't have any 2 3/4 inch, and I don't have any 20 gauge, but the sampling size we had might give you a bit of an idea of what it might do out of your gun, or whether or not you want to purchase it. As begrudging as I am to say it, the Winchester SX4 won the pattern testing today, but it might have something to do with the Code Black Goose. Would the same choke tube in either of the Vinci or the SBE 3 provide the same results? I don't know. I haven't really made up my mind yet whether I want to stay with the Hevi-Shot choke tubes, which have gave me great results out of their steel offerings, or if I want to switch it up a little bit. Pattern Masters aren't cheap, but out of the 2 that my wife and I own, great experience so far. So the 3-inch does the best out of these guns. Maybe it'll perform different out of yours. But the fact of the matter is that the 3.5-inch might work better out of some guns somewhere, or you might simply like the larger pattern size and the higher pellet count that offers you. I know I have used both the 3-inch and the 3.5-inch to great effect in late season. The slightly lower velocities than same weight steel actually offers a little bit milder recoil and definitely easier to recover for the second shot. I would say that for most applications, the 3-inch Hevi-X is going to be the load of choice for you if you're looking for a tungsten alternative to steel and other non-toxics that might be more expensive or too cheap in your opinion. And that puts me on the point of price point. How expensive do you want your shell to be? How cheap do you want it? How much value does your particular waterfowl load provide you? But really, that's a choice left up to you. Take the data that we collected today on the target as well as on a water jug and see what makes sense for you. maybe Hevi-X was an interest, but not something you want. Maybe it confirms that you definitely want to buy a box yourself and give it a try in your gun as you prepare for this upcoming waterfowl season. Either way, the choice is yours. Personally, I think it's a little bit expensive for what you get. The patterns have generally not been that exceptional out of my choke and gun selections, and while the on-target, on-bird performance has been great as far as how hard those tungsten pellets are hitting, I don't know if that really justifies $35 to $45 a box for 3-inch and 3.5-inch Magnum, whereas I can get heavy metal for about 15% less, even if it's not on sale, and I can shoot heavy steel for less than that and simply increase my pellet size as I go through the season. Number ones have worked great for me in late season, but they don't give you the same kind of effect on target at longer range as you get out of Hevi-X. As always, guys, the choice is up to you, but I'm Drake for American Arms Channel signing off, and this is my baby. Sorry, SX4, I'd love to take you out, but that's my wife's gun, and I'll stick to this guy and my Vinci for now. Again, find the load that works best for you and shoot that. As always, guys, God bless. Keep your powder dry. I'll see you in the next video.